Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It's the transfer show. There's a few of us, and Ned's eating his dinner, so there you go. But obviously, touch.
He better not be eating his dinner.
We'll touch. Well, what's he got there? He's got tin foil, a plastic.
That's his hat.
Oh, okay. Definitely will. You'll need one of them.
Talking transfers.
Talking all sorts transfers.
Right.
Before we get on to Everton, Trossard looks like he may well be off to Arsenal.
Good signing.
Good signing.
Yeah, considering they were going to be spending 70 million on Mudryk last week, and now they're only going to be spending 20 odd million on a very good player.
What about Brighton though? Because he's their top scorer this season, and they've just gone.
He hasn't played, has he?
We've got an embryo here who will get 17 goals from South America.
Well, he hasn't played since the World Cup, has he? Either. So, and they've won every game, I think. So, just shows they'll probably bring some Peruvian in for about $1 million or something. He'll end up selling for like 80 million.
You do, don't you?
I hate them. I hate how good they are.
Brighton.
They've got no right to be this good at everything they do.
What they do is...
They were playing at a sports centre 5 years ago.
They were playing on a...
Bit
there was
longer,
dogs running around this outside of the game.
Dogs had season
Brighton
tickets.
dogs.
Yeah, honestly. Santa's little helper was doing laps.
They are.
At the Whitfield Stadium.
Yeah, they're a very good team, very good manager. Some really good players. And
No, it's a very good club because the manager's changed. They've just carried on.
oh yeah, they've got better.
So it's the club.
They've got better.
Well, Dan Ashworth put it in, Graham Barber and all of those
David
people.
Weir as well now.
Weir's there now, isn't he? Obviously, Ashworth's moved on. I mean, they showed how well he planned with the De Zerbi, the De Zerbi coming in after Potter went.
He looks like he's improved them, and he doesn't get rid of players.
Everything we aspire.
We bought Malpai.
Everything we aspire to be.
That was the start.
It is a good signing though,
The new
because
manager.
he's a good player, isn't he? He is a good player.
He is.
You know, the type of player that is he the type of player that Arsenal need right now? Because obviously they're doing really well. Not sure.
Yeah,
But good players will fit in any good team, won't they?
squad player adds depth, adds goals, adds creativity. Good player.
He's got
Exactly
some
what
for
Arsenal
Everton.
need,
He's
innit?
got some for Everton. Like he's got Premier League experience as well. I mean,
God,
Does he know the town? Know the city?
I'm amazing.
Is he local?
I don't know.
No, but I think going back to a
That's
few
probably
years,
why we're struggling, you know. Trying to get players who are local is a bit of a problem.
going back to what you said a few years ago when Arsenal didn't invest in the window when they were going for the league, and I think it was
Aubameyang,
Danny Welbeck.
He had an opportunity and he didn't go for him.
And this time maybe they've looked, I'm not saying they've gone all the way back and looked at that, but they might be looking at it now and thinking City aren't going to do anything in this window, I imagine. And Arsenal might just go 2 players, could seal the deal for us. So good on them. If he's available and he fits their team, you can go for it. Then 27 million, it's nothing for more money they spend.
Is that what it is? 27?
26
That's
million,
what it would be,
yeah. Something like that.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I mean,
Bad for a player you don't want, is it?
Yeah,
As
exactly,
the
yeah.
selling club.
Yeah.
Because it had broken down, clearly. Yeah.
what's mad is, in a way, is that, well, it's not mad, but they're able, because it's not mad at all. What it is, it's an example, isn't it, of if you get your planning right and you get things aligned, that it shows that you can overcome a lot of obstacles that are put in the way with, where people will tell you that you can't ever do anything because of the big 6 or whatever. Well,
so you're talking about Brighton?
I'm just talking about Brighton as in
right.
terms of they've got stuff, they've got a way of doing stuff, they obviously all believe in it. And we're seeing a situation now where, Newcastle have done a crest of a wave and they're involved in it. But things can turn quickly for some other clubs. But what Brighton have done is they've set up this structure years ago, because it is the first couple of seasons in the Premier League they finished 16th twice, and
Chris Hughton, wasn't it?
Chris Hughton, even Graham Potter though. Potter had been 16th, then they had a good season last season. He's obviously moved on and is struggling at Chelsea right now, but they've been able to move forward. And if you do have that, everything filtering into that one structure.
If you play I'm going to do it, I think. Play devil's advocate and say you've got a couple of modestly sized clubs, from fan base and stadium, and if we just take the 2 examples being Brighton and Brentford, say, who are doing the basics and best practice very well.
Yeah.
And basics and best practice, shopping at bloody Aldi, should mean a solid mid-table finish. But there's other clubs, of which we are clearly one, who are underperforming against resources and stuff, and they find themselves in this rarefied world up here, right? be interesting and fascinating for me to see if they finish as they look like they will. Both those teams potentially in Europe and stuff like that. You then look what happened to Leicester when they won the league and stuff. You start buying other players from different places, and you start ending up with players with egos and not team players, if you like, and all that sort of stuff. And then they get a whole set of new challenges, don't they?
Of course.
You know, and Leicester right now are sort of trying to come out the other end of that. So I just think, you know, when people talk about us as a club hitting reset, and trying to do it differently, if we'd hit reset 6 or 7 years ago, we'd have been in a far better place right now, wouldn't we?
Oh, well, for sure.
So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out, because as you go through the season, those squad depths, and let's call it old money, tends to rise to the top.
It does,
you know. And if City get their act together, can Arsenal, who've never been playing right at the very top, can their players deal with the stress that comes with? You know, it's already starting for Arsenal, isn't it? It's their league to lose, which is ridiculous when you know the runs City can go on.
They could play City
Newcastle are overperforming, right, and so on. But if you can ride that crest, and we've all got the example, haven't we, of Leicester just kept waiting for them to fail, and they didn't, you know, and they held the trophy up. And we'll never say that, will we? Apparently, according to their fans. But hey, you know. But so I'm just trying to say, are we giving them far too much credit? Because they're doing what they've always done, and others have dropped below them, or have they risen above?
I think it's just good recruitment, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm not disputing that.
You can make football as complicated as you want, but it's just about it's about buying the right players, but setting up a model to buy those players.
No, I understand.
And
I totally agree.
No, but that's all it is. So, like, going back to your original point was, will they go? If they wanted to get in Europe, because this is where Moyes actually went wrong. Moyes had a plan, and then we were talking about this yesterday, and then when we got into the Champions League qualifiers, he threw that away. He went, I need Van der Meijden, I need those kind of players, where he went away from the plan. So it's having the bottle to stick to your plan.
And that's the point,
But just going, well, you know the way we were looking at those players? Well, now maybe we can look at these players, but they still have all the attributes that we're looking for. They're just better, rather than going, and I think this is what City do really well, actually. When they buy, they don't go for the big shiny things. They go, stick to the plan, stick to that good player that we want. It's got all those things we need, and bring them in. And I think this is, but I think this is where Liverpool are starting to go a little bit wrong.
Well, I was going to bring them into
they're
this
going a little bit wrong, because they are starting to grab all the things.
That's
and
where
go,
I was
we
going.
need to make that leap. Whereas I think good teams just keep doing what they're doing.
I was watching that Diary of a CEO thing, and Moyes mentioned that, didn't he, about United when they changed. I think Gary Neville said similar things. That when you think about Manchester United when they had that dominant period, how many they've done it more recently, but in that dominating period, how many times did they buy the most expensive player in the world? It wasn't very often. They panicked with like Varane. They bought one stable Varane, which was
when they did splash the cash big style, it failed.
So they bought, like, I think, like you were saying with City, they bought ones that were just underneath. They knew were going to get better and develop. And then I think if we fast forward to like modern day, Brentford have been doing this for 10 years now, 11 years. Matthew Benham bought them started it in like 2011-12, started this journey for them, buying people from Scott Hogan, from Rochdale or something,
buying
selling them for 20 million, things like Sevilla, things like that, and they were doing it, and they got to a situation, you're right, where it'll be interesting to see at what stage do they go, now I want to reach for the next level, or do they just keep going, we need to be a bit better, and we can get this fella who's ticks all the boxes, and he's still only £5 million, and he'll take, look at Ivan Toney and Buemo, they'll go.
But the complexity of that is, and it is, for me anyway, it'd be fascinating to watch, and because you bring Toney into it, it's when his contract comes up for renewal, and he actually goes, well, actually now I'm a Premier League striker who scores lots of goals, I want 150 grand a week, right?
They might just have the next one.
That's what I mean. So they have to. So
don't forget they've lost Ollie Watkins and Hogan.
That's where I'm going.
And replaced them,
and that's where both those clubs, right? Their smartness, you're right, they're doing it to a plan, they're performing on the field, but the smartness is how they recycle the players they've developed, sell them, and they've already got the next one ready.
But it's happening now, isn't it?
Totally.
Because Trossard, if you said to anyone, like say, even 6 months ago, or even the beginning of the season with Trossard could leave in January, people would think that was a negative. People would have thought, Trossard leaving Brighton, oh God, he wants a bigger club, oh God, and everyone's looking at it going, oh, it's unbelievable.
But it's culture.
Put this kid Ferguson in. He's banging out
They've
goals.
got the Atomer as
They've
well,
got,
the Japanese kid now, who's coming to Trossard.
they've got all these people, and suddenly it's like,
Yeah.
they don't even need Trossard.
But
This
it's
is an
culture.
amazing deal.
It's culture, isn't it? Right? You know, when I used doing my day job, and you've got loads of people, and someone goes in your team, maybe someone who works for someone who works for me. Steve's resigned. What should we do? Accept it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be here, gone. Yeah, but we won't be able to. We'll cope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when Trossard, presumably in some relationship with the manager, felt he was bigger than the manager, off you go
See
then.
ya? Well, this is another thing City do.
But
City,
you've got to, that's walking the talk, isn't
yeah.
it?
City always bring in the player they need the year before they need them.
Absolutely.
And they always get the crossover, and they always give that kid the chance. I think Rodri's the perfect example. He come in and everyone was like, not sure about this, and they give Fernandinho a few more games, and they got that nice crossover. He's like absolutely instrumental in there.
Yeah.
You know, the way they do it, 1 minute, like a player is so instrumental to the team.
Yeah.
And then the next minute, you're like, where's that fella? You know, Bernardo Silva's a little bit like that now. He's like last season, he clearly didn't want to sell him because he thought he was going to make a crossover with Grealish. He knew last season Grealish was going to struggle, so he wanted to keep him. And this season, I know Grealish hasn't really settled, so now you've got other kids who are settling. So at the end of the season, Silva will go. That'll happen.
Yeah.
And they'll hope Grealish has got to that point. And
they've not.
That's where it becomes basically how the club operates. It's the culture.
I was about to say that about Brighton.
It's culture. I mean, I know I say it
at the top of Brighton.
often say the same thing, which is, you know, that thing which Pep Guardiola did with Gary Neville just standing there in awe when he was saying how things work at City and all that on Monday night or whatever it was. When there wasn't a game, they'd fill it in with something.
Yeah.
And whoever that guy who hosts it, he said, well, you've got all these mega stars. How do you,
It's like,
you know, how do you get them basically to work hard? And he just stood there and went, Pep Guardiola said, well, if they don't work hard, they don't play. He's just told every single one of his squad players and every single one of his first choices, that's how I think. And then he's almost elaborated on that, hasn't he, in recent weeks, that sort of ethic when he's talked about Phillips, and which is in your face, and he's talked about Foden. Well, I look at body language in training, stuff like that. Well, are we saying that the only time Anthony Gordon's body language is shit is when he's on
language?
Sorry, is when he's on the field, because it's all okay in training, or is he exactly the same?
No, I'll tell you, John, if you want to talk culture, and we said this, the Bournemouth Carabao Cup game shows you the lack of good culture at Everton.
No, there's plots of it.
No, I know, but that shows you on the pitch.
Yeah.
Bringing in players that have got no future at Everton Football Club.
Because they're complaining they want to play.
And leaving kids out that have got supposed futures or might have futures elsewhere. That's the culture. That's the culture at Everton that's been the whole time Shadey's been at the club. We paid X amount to play for this fella, and I've got to justify him being on the pitch at some point. And that's the problem. Putting Michael Keane in the team who's got no future. Giving Tom Davis a go when you've got a younger player there. Not having Stanley Mills on the pitch.
Totally.
I know you're at. This is the culture that Everton have created in the last few years. When people go, why are Liverpool, Man City, Manchester United, Arsenal playing all their kids in the Carabao Cup, and we're playing a load of fellas who will all be out there? There's the picture from last year, isn't there, in the FA Cup of like Rondon replacing Shank Tosin. It's that culture that Everton have created that they keep on giving players who should be kicked out the club a chance in games. It's like, if you're going to throw a game, then put Stanley Mills in, put Tom Cannon in, put Price in, put whoever in. Go down and go, we're just going to put these kids in and it's going to be a great experience. No, it's you bring back your three centre-backs that are not playing, you bring back Decore and Tom Davis, and it's just like, that's our culture. Whereas for Brighton probably had that Ferguson playing, and that's why now he's doing well in that 3 or 4 games. Or these kids that are all doing well for Brighton, and we're all like, well, where did they come from? You're like, well, actually they played earlier on the season in the Carabao Cup a couple of times. Ours never. We're bringing back Tyler Onyango, he'll have no future at this club now because he's been terribly mishandled once again by the football club. And this is the culture we've created, because we let wasters have time at our club, and we don't let the good players have a chance. Whereas those other clubs do.
I think with Onyango a little bit. I think Everton have tried to look after him, and it hasn't worked. They will see what he does, but in the past we could have used him. Obviously it's first of all, I've just got a super chat from Eddie Barca Garcia, which sounds to me like we could sign him and he'd be tremendous.
Cracking name.
Garcia, no, he's right. Garcia, that's a right side attacking winger who's got goals in him, I think. So we're missing a trick. Brighton will probably try to sign him after this super chat, to be fair. Says, good morning, lads. What are your thoughts on Lucas Moura?
Brighton's probably already signed him.
And would
They're head of the curve.
Would he be a better wing option than we already have? So stay Everton. It's the 19th of January. There's 12 days to go in the transfer window. Would Lucas Moura add anything to Everton?
Probably, because the rest are all crap, really.
That's not a good enough reason to get him.
It's not, but Everton...
How old is he? 30, isn't he, Moura? Is he 30?
Yeah. But the reality is, John, it's not the right reason, but it's the club have left themselves in this position now, where they are going to have to literally take anything they can get.
See, I have a real, I knew you were going to say that, I have a real issue with the thing which all comes under the same umbrella as better than nothing.
I agree, I hate it.
We've ended up with permanent players who were better than nothing, and they did nothing, and 5 years later walked off having had a big bag of money. No, someone has to...
the Carabao Cup, though.
Yeah. Someone has to man up and go, no, we're going to do things properly.
No,
now, the problem with that is you have to...
Or woman up. Could be a woman.
Yeah. It's a phrase, man. It's a phrase, right?
No. 2023, John.
Go on, John.
Careful with your phrases.
He's 31 in August. He's 30. So
not interested in the slightest.
Okay.
Right? If you're incompetent and you can't go and find somebody who can do a similar job who's 19...
Because aren't they asking for 10 million for him? Or 12 million?
Sorry, it's a free loan at best.
He's out of contract in the summer.
Yeah, get a life, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't want to go back around the culture thing, but what Ped's speech there was spot on. Changing the manager in the same culture, right, is going to get the same results. So Frank had his moment, didn't he, where he could have stood up for himself. He had the fans on side. He could have said, no, we're not doing that. We're doing the right things the right way. Because the theme here is that there are people who are not sporting experts influencing sporting experts' decisions. And that's wrong.
What if it's financially influencing it, though?
Well, that's part of truth, isn't it? You said to me, I don't even know if it was on camera or not, you know, probably out there, wasn't it? If you got told, John, if you're the manager or whatever, you've got 5 million to spend, you cut your cloth. You don't tell the manager we've got 50 to spend and then the day before take whoever's available.
Can I ask you, Steve,
Just don't.
in this? No, you're right, I agree, John. Can I ask you, Steve, is that there was a story that was put out quite clearly by Everton, because where else would it come
Is
from?
this the one we were speaking?
So the Everton aren't on the naughty step anymore.
No, they published it.
It was published, so someone's fed the journalist.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of that goes on lately. A
source.
That Everton, a source, unnamed source.
May or may not come from the club.
That Everton aren't on the naughty step anymore, and that story was put out. And I think what that did to fans was heightened expectation.
Of course it
because
would.
I've seen people going, it means we can spend
spend
60, 70, 80 million in January.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if Everton would have fed the same journalist or an unnamed source or wherever it come from,
Money's tight.
yeah, would have said, we're still in the same boat. Money's tight. The manager, we're trying to be creative. We haven't got a lot to spend. At least everybody would have gone, right, okay, wonder what we can do then, because obviously money is difficult. Do you think that would have been more palatable than what we've got now?
Yeah, because I think, like you said, before the window had started, I've seen people going, yeah, we'll get this player in for 20 odd million, and if we can get this player, we'll be signed. And I think really, we just heard the manager's comment saying it's a tough market. It's tough to get
Probably
players
true.
in.
It's not a tough market if you've got money.
No, I know exactly, but this is what I was
Yeah.
saying. If the club, like you said, had come out and said, it's financially, it's a really tough market for us to get involved in big business, because you're seeing likes of, I know it's not a lot of money to Premier League, but Danny Ings, 12.5 million. Realistically, we probably can't afford 12.5 million on a player at the moment. No. We can only afford loans, and that's why the fan base now is at a point where they're like I just said there about Lucas Moura. Do I think he's good enough for Everton? No. But Everton have left themselves in that position where fans are at that point where they will take anything now, Baz. And they're at the point where they're desperate just for something to give them a bit of hope, because there's no hope at the moment, because we're not got no players, got no board, got no team who are turning up.
I was going to say, can't say we've got no fans.
Got no fans. Got no team who are turning up on a Saturday at the moment because they're just not performing. But the manager told us he needed that help in January, and we're sitting here on the 19th going into another Premier League game without a new signing.
Who've just signed a striker.
We've got teams
Get a lift from it.
Teams above us who are now signing players, even if you know what, we might look at them and think, they're crap, but they're signing players. There's Chris Wood, plenty going Forest.
But good clubs though. But the thing about that move is for Danny Ings is the club we want that wouldn't sign Danny Ings as a for 15
and we
million.
Haven't.
No, we haven't. But we would if we had the money. I think
right.
if we had the money, I think we would. John.
And we'd have made the wrong decision.
But we want a club that doesn't sign Danny Ings, because why would you? Why would you pay 15 million for a 29-year-old with cheese-string 30 with cheese-string knees?
Yeah.
What's his contract? 3 years, 2.5,
and 100 grand.
Yeah. A good club doesn't do that. A sensible club doesn't do that.
That's right,
a club who's desperate does that. So we would have done it if we had 15 million quid, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But we don't want a club who does that. So it's like, it is that thing of like, part of it's. I tell you the other one 12 months ago. Dingo went to Newcastle.
Chris Wood.
No, the left back.
Target.
Oh. No, the right back. Sorry.
Trippier.
We were saying, I know, right?
Bruno Gomes.
I've got brain frog. I've got brain frog.
Brain frog.
It's that thing of sitting here going, oh well, what he's been amazing for them.
Culture-wise, he has as well.
Culture.
Yeah,
but we sat here last year going, let's not fall into that mistake. Let's get a 24-year-old Ukrainian fella, or whatever he is. He'll be great. 22. He'll be all right for us. Whereas he's transformed down Newcastle. I mean, number one, just stats alone, I think he's the second highest assists.
Look at where he come from as
in
well.
the Premier League.
It's all about
Madrid.
That's what I'm saying.
Culture.
Culture.
But it's all about having a player that comes in and fits into what
If you say to Frank, as our manager, during that 6-week break, as an example, you sit down and you agree what you need. It's got to include pace, hasn't it, and stuff like that. Right.
Goals.
And then you have your lists, right? And you have choice number 1. That's the one we want, right? And you say to the manager, we've looked into the future, you're going to get him on the last day of the window. Or you can have number 3 choice tomorrow. What do you do?
Well, you get the one you want.
Do you?
Well, if you're a good club and you've identified what you want, then why would you take number 3 if you can get the one you want?
For the 5
you
or 6
might
games.
Have. It's the way it is.
And there's this much difference between number 1 and number 3.
Oh, if you're talking minimal distance, then you take the one you can get with Chelsea.
I mean, that was an attempt at a simple.
No, I know.
That's part of your decision-making process, and I always think that what Everton do, and we talked about it out there as well, didn't we? While the guys were recording, we decide who we want, and we only run with the one horse.
Yeah.
I don't believe for a minute that we do only run with one horse, right? But we know we lack bandwidth at board level. We know we lack bandwidth with decision making. We know we lack bandwidth with empowerment and all those sorts of things. So we have a capacity challenge of how many of these things can we run with at the same time, right? And we end up fixated on this guy who is the one we're going to get on the last day, and we don't get them on the last day.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And then you end up with choice number 7, because 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 have
You
already.
mean like Marpie in the summer?
Whatever.
In the summer.
Whatever.
What?
Really, innit?
I mean, what
Yeah.
would you
I
want?
think
Danny
they
Ings,
wanted him. So.
personally.
I'd have wanted him because he'd scored the goals to save us from relegation. But then that's the same thing as it's the same conversation as do you sack Frank Lampard? It all plays into
Ings?
No, because it all plays into the
Would
same.
you play Ings alongside DCL, would you?
I'd send
Oh, there you go.
DCL to the
That's
horse
what I mean, just
factory, the
getting
glue factory.
Getting your
Ings would. No, what I'm saying is, if you want to stay in the Premier League, sign Ings. That's why West Ham have signed him. But to us sign him, it'd be 50. He'd score the
He's 1 in
goals.
4, isn't he?
He'd score the goals.
He's 1 in 4.
Yeah, but he'd score the goals for us. He'd be Kevin Campbell for us.
We signed Danny Ings. He'd get injured. And
No, I know, but the point being is,
outperform him.
he'll score the goals for West Ham. I guarantee.
He might
it.
get injured on Saturday
Right,
anyway.
he'll get the goals, but for us, it's the bigger thing. Like you just said, it's the culture thing. You're putting a plaster on a broken leg. Yes, it'll keep us in the Premier League, and I get that. But if the culture isn't changing, West Ham might be sitting there going, "This fella will score the goals," and actually, at the moment, we're transitioning from these owners or this owner now.
That's right. Yeah.
To this new owner, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but we are doing it. We are taking it from one place to another, transitioning over. We're not.
They've just put 25 to 30 million quid into a 30-year-old guy who you keep saying has got strings for legs.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, John, if he scores the goals, which he has always through his career, if he does the job they're asking for him and he keeps him in the Premier League, and that time allows West Ham to change the culture. If we bought him, what are we buying him for? We're buying him to stay in the Premier League. Yes, that's absolutely right. But we're not changing the culture. So all we're doing is buying a fella who next year will be doing the same thing of trying to keep Everton in the Premier League. Whilst at West Ham, they might be looking at it and thinking, well, next season, this fella will be part of a team that hopefully challenges for Europe. Don't forget, they're still in the Europa Conference as well. They, you know, that
They could be in the Europa League next season.
And also, though, that winning those games could give them a little lift. Playing on a Thursday against a Farmers team could give them a little lift for the Sunday to give them confidence.
And he can play in Europe as well.
Play in Europe. So for them,
it's a roll of the dice. I get it.
Yeah.
But for us, it would be a roll of dice. But my point being is, it's not actually changing anything. It's just, I know this sounds stupid, it's just keeping you in the Premier League. And if you're just staying in the Premier League to try and stay the next year just in the Premier League, then what are we doing? There has to be a fundamental change of how we do things at this football.
And maybe this is it,
all
though.
wrong.
Maybe this is it, though, because Mark McDonough,
you know it's not.
Mark McDonough says, who says he'll score the goals from. He hasn't done it for Villa, has he?
Time will tell.
Time will tell. He may be tremendous for West Ham.
He doesn't have to be tremendous.
He might be.
But he doesn't have to be tremendous, does he? Because ultimately.
But they don't score either.
No, but ultimately, right. You take the Anthony Gordon chance against Wolves, right? Yeah. No, I'm just saying. If you take some of the chances on Saturday, Danny Ings will put that ball in the back of the net.
Probably would, yeah.
And that's the difference between winning games in the Premier League and not winning games, is those half chances that someone like Danny Ings will take. I'm not saying he'll score loads and loads of goals, but for them, that's worth the investment. For us, we can't even get that investment.
I'll be honest. You're right. He could quite easy. He scored goals before. He could get a few goals and it keeps you up. But
I was going to say also quickly, what will happen in the summer? They will sell Declan Rice for a lot of money as well.
Yeah,
so that means they've got that money to come back to.
And
Premier League football, but that's amazing.
They've got a gamble, because why wouldn't you? But
yeah.
To me, they're not a very good side, are they? And that's the problem.
Yeah, but they're
quite clearly not. They've lost more games than ever.
That's not my argument, though. Yeah. My argument is they're changing the culture behind the scenes.
Are they?
No, I don't know. But what we do know is they're transitioning from one owner to another owner. The Czech fella's going to take over completely in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
They've just brought, whether you think it's a good thing or not, they've just brought Mark Noble in as the sporting director. So they are trying to change things.
Their culture won't change as a team with Moyes, but the club itself's culture might change. I don't even know what the club's culture is to change.
We don't. It's not our club, so we don't do we. But what I'm saying is that I'm talking about Everton. I'm saying if we brought Danny Ings in, number one, it would be a lot of money for a player that age. That's something we don't want anymore. For us, but we know, as Evertonians, that it is just a stick and plaster. That's all it would be. It's
our problem is true, and I'm not. Listen, Danny Ings could be brilliant for. I don't know whether we create the right chance.
Scored more goals in the Premier League this season than any of our players.
Yeah, but he would. He'd be
already.
Listen, he'd come in and he'd do all right. Of course, he would. Everton's issue is, for me, is that we've done this before, though, with these type of players, and then they're the same player who we want gone in 12 months.
Absolutely right.
He's not playing. We're playing him at 120 grand a week.
And that's my point. I don't want him. I'm not sitting here saying I want him.
It's a difficult. Everton are in such a difficult situation.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. When everything in the back's on fire.
Yeah.
But you just made. I mean, Steve's just made a connection, hasn't he? If you're a West Ham fan, hey, some of them might be watching. Yeah, Ings might be clear indication you're selling Rice in the summer.
Yeah, they are, and he's going to go.
He's not staying there, is he?
He's said it with.
They are selling him, aren't they? Let's be honest, and and they'll get. They may have already brought his replacement in.
We'll be selling Pickford
FFP-wise as well, because it's 80 million on a
regardless.
We're
selling Jordan. We'll be selling Jordan Pickford
no matter what league we're in,
because he hasn't got a new contract.
He hasn't got a contract. We've decided to step back from it, and quite clearly Spurs want him and Man United want him, so he'll be gone in the summer. Why can't Everton? I don't know whether they could have or they couldn't have. Why can't Everton gamble like that on that money and go, well, we know we're getting at least 30. We're not going to sell him for less than 30 million in the summer, so we know we're getting that money in. And I don't know whether...
So spend 45 now?
Try to spend some money now to go for it. Clearly it isn't that simple, is it, for us?
Because with Rice, he's a homegrown talent as well. So
exactly, straight back in. Mike Cosgrove on the Super Chat says, I'd sign Arnautovic, 8 in 14 and 14 in 33 last season on a short-term deal. Talisman player, potentially. Wants a hell of a lot of money, Mike, that's why. Wants big wages, being offered around everyone, no one
No
has
one wants to pay the money.
bit on him. He does score. He's another one can get you the goals, like. But
West Ham decided to get Ings instead.
But West Ham have had Arnautovic.
That's what I mean.
They've had them before and didn't want them back.
Is he 33, is he? Is he 33?
Yeah.
It's
He's done well, hasn't he?
we're in a situation where we do have to try to change a culture, and it isn't happening. And,
Doesn't happen overnight.
We've got 12 days left to try and do some business. There's clearly players out there. There's players out there who will help Everton right now try to get over the line. With half a season to go, it sounds bad.
Can I ask a binary question?
But there is. Go on, because we're going to finish in a couple of minutes. But go on.
Give it to Steve and then you two can answer it as well.
Go ahead.
The direct football has been here a year. Should we have seen the culture changing already?
I think it's difficult for him, John, because he's walked into basically the house being on fire, hasn't he, really, last season?
Should the culture have changed already?
Signs
of it?
Player recruitment-wise, yeah, it should have.
So that's a yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
it hasn't, has it?
No, it hasn't. Not with the signings I've seen in the summer, no.
Ped?
Depends, doesn't it? Depends what. Like you said before, he might have been told one thing and now he's getting dealt another.
Yeah.
But he might be out there trying to get the players that do change a culture. And then when it comes to the deal, upstairs go, no, can't have him. And that's what we're led to believe is actually happening.
Yeah.
The culture has not changed one iota.
No. But it won't to these people.
Should it be on? Well, let me ask you before we finish, and I'm finishing in 1 minute, so even if you're mid-answer, I'm cutting you off. Right? Can he change the culture if people above him are hamstringing him?
No.
Okay, good answer.
There you go.
That was
Good
a
answer.
short
And again,
answer
that
for you,
feeds
John.
into, I guess, what's going on right now, isn't it? With the fans are unhappy and different things. And that'll play out because Evertonians are quite nervously looking around going, hang on, Forest have signed 1 million players and apparently money doesn't matter. Fair enough. You know, Leicester are looking at players, they're just above us. Wolves are signing all sorts. Got Gomez, it looks like, coming in. They just bought Sarabia. They've got Cunha in already. Mathew Cunha in already. They're looking at another striker as well, apparently. You've got, Villa are looking. We'll probably get Danjuma, I imagine, now that Ings has gone to West Ham. We've just brought
more
a striker
buying power.
in. Southampton have got 2 or 3 and are looking at another 2. And yet we're sat joint bottom with nothing happening, and we haven't got goals in our squad. And I think the difference this season, why people are more worried. Last season, Richarlison he'll get the goals, and Dom's coming back. We had the night, the white knight and all that to save us. Now we're looking
Richie
and going,
having the same season at Tottenham he had with us. Did
imagine,
nothing
yeah.
in the first half. Nothing at all.
Might do loads for the
He got
second.
6 in the last 9 to keep us up.
Yeah.
Wasn't just his goals
Is
as
there
well,
anyone
was
in
it?
our
It
squad
was attitude and
who's capable of that? So
Snag.
there you go. Let's leave it there. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for joining us. We'll obviously be back tomorrow doing this. We're doing lots more on Premier this afternoon, including having a special guest in. Gonna join. The link's there.
Me.
And the
Name
QR
names.
code will be on the screen now.
World's sexiest second man.
Second man. We're going. Bye.